Oh yeah, because I was about to mention that dogmatism usually seems to be related to things that you're not willing to question. For example, the A equals B, B does not equal C, therefore A does not equal C. You could argue that, you could reason that, you could show the math work. You wouldn't absolutely just go, I'm right, and there's nothing you could say. You could actually show on the board your work and reason it out. Therefore, you wouldn't really be dogmatic upon that position.
But doesn't this gentleman's point right here show that most Christians, therefore, are not fundamentalists in this respect? I mean, the idea of Aquinas is actually to question all these things precisely to find what he understands to be the truth. Because there's no question in the Summa that starts out by saying, here's a question that I'm not even going to consider and not going to talk about anything else. Every question is on the table with replies from critics and what he considers to be the right things. I think very few Christians then, very few religious people would then meet the religious fundamentalism in the sense that we won't even consider this question.
Which is why there's definitely should be a scale.
Right, but I mean, then I think that this gentleman is right, that the religious fundamentalism needs to be greatly redefined, because what you have here with unreasoned religious fundamentalism is something that just goes, is a haywire effect, whereas something else would be here from relativism to reason or something like that. But I think that's what you're trying to say is dogma, you know, is I mean, just a settled belief is not necessarily dogmatic, or even if it is, there's nothing necessarily unhealthy about it.
Right.
I mean, we all have dogma. The United States could not even function as a society if we did not have dogma. Namely, all human beings created equal, life, liberty, pursuit of happiness, separation of powers, checks and balances. We didn't have dogmatic beliefs about that as the best way to run a system. We wouldn't have a functioning democracy. We wouldn't have even political order.
But the thing is that if you want to get into an argument with someone on that issue, could you bring evidence that checks and balances is good, that having rights is a good thing? For example, you can give the example, I don't want to be stabbed in the face, so I will agree with my neighbor not to stab each other in the face.
But again, the question here is, what constitutes evidence? Widely different things, right? Evidence. Here. I mean, you know, quote-unquote, scientific evidence. Well, I mean, you know, the religious person may say, I'm not sure science is evidence. It's necessarily as high an evidence, or constitutes the only kind of evidence. So that's a huge question as well. But I like your idea that dogma just not being considering something. That seems to be something I think you're quite, that might sort of more focus on what dogma is.
And like I said, this is a sliding scale. Again, it's not either or. The more you move in one direction, the more dogmatic you become, the more unreasonable you become. That's my argument. So it's, you know, at one end, you know, your spiritual beliefs may be positive to you, they may be positive for society, but certainly as you move more towards religious dogma, it becomes more of a net negative for society.
Yeah. This is
their
last question.
Follow over my question. Okay, so you mentioned like a few natural human rights, you know, from Hobbes, John Locke, etc.
That was actually right.
All right. Anyway, about that.
No, that's a good way to end, actually. All right, we've held them up for, he can ask afterwards if you want. But we've held everybody here, and thank you for your patience and for your attendance as well.
Thank you.